finally got a bootable Windows Server 2016 USB after way too long and way too much dorking with it because DD on Linux doesn't want to do it. Old versions of Office did it and made it, but they just weren't bootable for whatever reason. So I need to download a new version. I happen to do it in a VM, which actually works perfectly. Good job. Good on you, Linux and KVM, for supporting that. I also don't have a mouse, so it looks like I'm using with Alt codes. You can press the underlined letter with Alt and it works fine. I'm installing it on I think it's I'm installing it on an old 80 gig drive. We're shucking data center eval on it. I think you can I forget if you can activate it. I'm pretty sure, even though it says evaluation, you can activate it, I want to say. Because I do have keys if I want to do that. New, apply, okay. Should install fairly quickly. It is an old slow drive though, on a meh kind of slow system, but who cares. And yeah, there we go. Makes a ton of partitions because it looks like, I think this is EFI. This is the recovery partition, which I don't know what all it contains. This is probably EFI. I don't know what the third partition does. MSR. Might be another recovery. They keep adding partitions. You could technically do it with one partition like you did in the old XP days, but this is installing on UEFI, which has new features. That's not the point. I'm going to be doing multi-point. I did change the GPUs around in this guy right now. Can dork with it some more later if I want, but I have two 5450s in it. I have a few more monitors if I want to play with that. They should work fine. And we are getting files ready. I don't know what all the different things mean. It just means wait 5 minutes and then it'll be ready to use. Actually installs pretty darn fast these days. So we've got it installed. Make sure you pick desktop experience, not the normal one, because if you pick the other one, then you only get PowerShell, which I want the full experience. I need to learn how to use Windows Server a bit better with just PowerShell, but who cares? See, first thing you have to do is change your admin password, then more loading bars, then Control-Delete. I don't have a mouse plugged in, so this is going to be fun. It's going to take a while. I'm on a slow hard drive, that password again. Then I have to start more process. I'm on an old, slow 80 gig drive. I don't really care about performance though. So we're going to do, you have to do basically two things once you log in. So this Server 2016, I should probably want some updates, so I don't really care. And it's Windows Server, it's going to run updates by itself. Yeah, so first thing I'm going to do, I guess I'm going to chuck it on my domain, which you don't have to do, but I just chuck everything on my domain. It makes it easier to manage and use. I will chuck it on a domain. I will, IP's already static, don't have to worry about that. And then I will have to enable remote desktop. That's pretty much all I have to do. So now we have Windows Server configured, all the basic things, it's on Active Directory correctly, and here we go. First thing, yeah, it's the install visit we're doing should be in. Here, local roles, you have to pick the system, and then what you want is the multi-point services, which, yeah, here you go. For multi-point, we're going to say add all the features, which needs remote desktop services, print and document, and probably has the full desktop experience if it wants to install too. Yeah, yeah, it probably installs a ton of stuff, so this is going to take a while to install. Things to note, I don't care about printer drivers at all. I don't care about printing at all. Remote desktop, you know, virtualization. I'm gonna actually I'm gonna enable all this. It's probably gonna enable all the Hyper-V stuff as well when I do this. Might as well. No reason not to. Gateway, yes, sure. I'm gonna mess with the VDI, but I'm also gonna use the local multi-point stuff as well. That's just my personal messing around. It's not gonna be much in this video. Dynamic content compression, do I want that? Yeah, compress this stuff. This should be fine for now. Next. Actually, it's gonna mess with the network, but I don't really care. sure. Yeah, it'll start there by default, I don't really care. Well, there's a lot of stuff it wants to do. And here it's actually going to start installing now. This is going to take a while. Okay, so I've installed all the roles here, so if we look under the server manager, you notice how we have all these more tabs that we didn't earlier have. So we have multi-point services, which is the main one, and then we have a lot of other things, like we have IIS server. So I'm guessing if I open a web browser window on another screen, I will get a web page if I use it. Yeah, so if I open it, I'm kind of curious if I'm going to get anything here as a web browser, just see if it loads anything. But back to this, you see things like multi-point services. Now, the way that Windows Server does it is there's basically no way to admin it in here. It just shows you what servers and if they're online and what services. You can't admin it in this window. But you can either go under the tools here, I think it's under, there's a ton of these here, or it just appears under your start menu, or PowerShell if you're using that. So if I go under like multipoint manager, now you can see this has just been installed on my system. And the way multipoint manager is running is it says it's online, it says it's working, so that basically means every single screen that's connected to it is going to be ready for multipoint. And I can do it. I think remote desktop services is also enabled, but I haven't really configured that. I'm using this mainly as a multipoint. I might do remote desktop services later. So you can see it's connected. One station, because I haven't connected them all up, or I think the one station would actually be this remote desktop session here. No licenses. I think you have like 30 or 60 days before you have to put licenses in. Disk protection is disabled. I think disk protection makes it so you can't write data on the internal drive. Yeah, and you can do station. So I can see stations, the local one. There's 2 local stations, which I will show you in a little bit on a real camera how I configured it. Users, you can add users here. You can also just use Active Directory because it's connected to a domain. I can use any domain user. It doesn't have to be in this list, so that's cool. And virtual desktops, this is standard VDI stuff from there. And then I'm going to show you in a little bit the actual setup and how the performance and stuff works on that actual setup. Okay, so I'm logged in here. This is logged in as user 1, this one's logged in as user 2, and this guy's logged in as I think a local administrator on this system. Right now, I only have mouse working in this one. I need to find out how to configure the mice. So, here's some other things. So, we're logged into one system. You know, let's just zoom in on this guy, because this guy happens to have a mouse. So, as I noted before, it is a normal desktop experience. I'm going to continue using it because I know it's monitored. Now, I can browse the internet just like any normal system, as I said before. I have Task Manager. Okay, so here's some other things that's kind of interesting. So if I this is basically, think of this as basically a remote desktop session, but it's on the same computer. So if I go into like display settings, for example, and I want to, let's say change my screen resolution. That's something a normal person would want to do, especially if you're on a monitor that it doesn't want to detect correctly. Oh. Yeah, so it says these settings can't be changed from a session because I am connected locally to this computer, but it works as a remote session and a lot of the controls feels like it. If I want to open up something like AMD Catalyst Control Center, it does it. Also, you get some other complaints. Some programs seem to complain, like Steam is complaining here, because Steam happens to be running on this local system on this remote admin account here at the same time. So, like, I couldn't use this as a gaming system because Steam's going like, oh, am I running on this computer on another account? Yes, even though I do have full control, separate control of each of these accounts. All these screens are the same system. So, here, let's look. I should have Blender installed on here. Oh, this hard drive is horrible. This is horrible. This is torture. So I should have Blender installed on here. Now, as another thing, let's go look at the admin system now, which is my laptop. So if I go under here, they have this thing called multipoint dash. Oh, why did I hit that? Multipoint dashboard. This is going to take a few seconds to launch because slow hard drive. Googling, I found out what my main problem was. Is this keyboard here is a PS2 keyboard. I'm supposed to have it so the keyboard goes in, or the USB connection is supposed to be used over USB, not PS2. Oh, okay, I'll have to use new technology. The keyboard comes in, the USB connection comes in, it goes to a hub. This guy has a hub built into this keyboard, so 2 USB ports on the back. And then it goes to a USB mouse. This guy is PS2. Doesn't want to work that way. It will work if I do it. But a few other things before I hook that up and show that other quick demo. So in here we have something called, you have 2 programs. You have Multipoint Manager and Multipoint Dashboard, because you need 2. So Dashboard lets you see both of them. So essentially if I open something else on here, or here's on caps lock, you can see I just opened another window on this system, and this system is up here. I can also do some fun things like, for example, let's say I want to project. So if I want to project it, it says hide sensitive information. But right now, you can see now I'm projecting it. So whatever I do on my laptop here is shown to every other computer. So then this, I can show, a lot of this is designed for schools because it's supposed to be relatively cheap, and basically Microsoft gives away these licenses to schools. So I can then show a class or a ton of users some other info if I want, and then I can click stop here and it stops. I can launch an application on someone's system, so calculator, and I just launched calculator for that user. I can go back to this user, and maybe for this user up here, I want to launch, give me something, I don't need admin access that isn't already open, Windows Defender. So now I just opened Windows Defender on here, on this guy, and it opens it on all of them, actually. There gotta be some option for that. I can close Windows, I can send IMs to users, so I can send hi, and you can actually chat with them. So you have a full chat functionality. You can change size in here. Actually, probably should have done that before. So you can see it. So this is an easy way to monitor your users. Take control. So then this will give me control of this person's system. So if I want to show them something, I have full control over their system here. And then I can how do I uncontrol them? Oh, I just probably close this window here. Okay, so now I don't have control. I can limit web usage. And then I think you can also freeze it. Yeah, okay, so you can block them. And this will, for example, in a classroom you want to talk, you can make it so it's on all unusable, or you can unblock them all and they'll back to normal systems again. That's the dashboard. It lets you do a ton of, and if you have multiple computers, you can manage all of them here and reboot them. So it's not too advanced. This one is what lets you do the advanced stuff and mess with licensing and stuff. So that's more designed. And you can actually, there's 3 users accounts. There's full admin, which I'm here. There's a full user, which is here. And then there's kind of a mid-level station manager, which gives you that control. So you'd want to give like a station manager to, for example, like a teacher, admin user to like the IT staff, and users to the students. So here we are at the users thing again. And this one lets you get to the nitty-gritty a lot more. So you can manage all of them. You can put licensing stuff in. Yeah, and you can find out, for example, what all of them is doing. So keyboard and mouse. I'm going to go set it up again, so I'm going to shut this guy. I don't think I have to shut it down, but I'm going to reconfigure the keyboard and mouse so that this guy works correctly. So once I add the new keyboard and mouse in, it adds a new session, and I have mouses on both right now. So I can actually control and use both of these guys at the exact same time, which is cool and exactly what I want to do. Now, here's the thing. Let's test out a few performance benchmarks on here just for fun. So I'm going to copy some files over so we can do. Let's do a little bit of performance testing. We're going to zoom in on this guy here for a quick look at that. Okay, so here's what I did. I made a folder on the root of the drive called test programs. So I have a few things here. So here's Cinebench. Let's just throw Cinebench at it. We're going to just run it on. Look, we're going to have 3 task managers open on one system. You're going to have 3 task managers open on one system, and they all show the exact same CPU usage. And then I have to be confused about which keyboard I'm supposed to use. But, and all my RAM usage. Actually, the RAM usage is fairly low, the fact that I'm using all these users, compared to using something like a VM. Where I'd probably be, running 3 different users with a VM with anywhere reasonable performance, you'd need probably 8 or 16. I want to do it on 4. So if I just run Cinebench on one system, I'm going to try it on then 2 on 3. I'm going to fire it up on these other systems. Shouldn't affect it performance-wise. we're going to see what the different performances is. So this should get 700 something, it's a 9. And we just finished Cinebench on here, and on a single user we get 641. Now here's probably where it gets a little bit more interesting. So now we have Cinebench on 3 different systems here. So we got it on the admin account here. We have it on this VM, on this user and this user. So we all have it on CPU, ready to run. 3, 2, 1, go. And they're all starting up. They should all do it. We got 641 on one, and my curious is how it's going to spread it out. Since this guy is admin, I wonder if admin gets more resources or anything like this. So we ran all of them, and we got pretty much exactly what we expected. 214, 226, 225. It splits it out pretty much equally. The other interesting thing is OpenGL. If you've ever been wondering about graphical performance on these, I'm curious if it's going to run. I don't think you can run it in remote desktop, to my knowledge. The last time I've tried it failed, because it doesn't have OpenGL. But they might have changed that. Actually, it looks like it might be running. This is kind of surprising. So much to my amazement, it actually lets you do it, because I don't think I've ever ran this in a remote desktop session. Every time before remote desktop, it just kind of complains. So this is going to be the more interesting metric to me. And I'm curious how it's going to split out GPU horsepower. So you can see right now performance is horrible. Then again, I'm running on a 5450, so that's kind of expected, but I'm curious. Did get a horrible 2 FPS, but it actually did run Cinebench, which means something like Cinema 4D or another professional 3D program, not a game, should work fine. And we're trying it again. It's going to be another slow thing. And we got about 2.8 FPS on all of these. So we're going to see what performance we get with just one of them running. So here we are just running a single instance, and we get about 8.5 FPS, which is quite a bit higher. So essentially gaming is useless because programs like Steam don't want to do it. And when I tried playing a game like TF2 on Steam, it just kind of said nope because of that. Now I think I might have some other goodies in my test programs file. Not too much though. Performance, I think Cinebench really does show performance pretty much correctly. Whereas it splits it up pretty fine graphically, it splits it up reasonably, and graphically it's perfectly fine if you're not playing games, and this is never designed to play games. I might test graphics more on a later one. I could test Cinebench, but I don't really need to. So that's pretty much it. Audio seems to be you have to sign a device. I don't have any audio devices on this guy, and I don't really have any resources to do so with right now. It works surprisingly well. So thanks for watching this little video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos about random server stuff.